politics, and I will do my best to give you a great answer. I know that politics can be really intimidating when you don't know too much about it. It can sometimes feel like trying to learn a new language where there's all these different, three-letter agencies and people's last names and words like filibuster and reconciliation and it's impeachment in the House, but it's not impeachment of the Senate. It's removing from office. So it can be really complicated, and I like to make myself available where people can ask whatever question that they like, and they don't got to worry about feeling judged for not knowing things. Rena, good to see you again. Thanks for being here. So yeah, if you got any questions about politics, just let me know in the chat, and I'll do my best to give you a great answer. Things are really weird right now in politics, so I'm sure people are really confused. Great emoji, Rena. So yeah, you can ask me anything that you like. No question is too simple. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I don't believe in making people feel stupid or ashamed for not knowing things. So you don't got to worry about, if I ask this, is gonna think I'm uninformed or I'm a real. You didn't do good in American history class or American civics or whatever. Tri says, does religion affect politics? I mean, ideally, no, but in reality, yes. There are certain communities of religious people in America that try to use their power in order to inflict the foundations of their religion onto the rest of us. Specifically, certain sects of Christianity, other religions like Judaism and Islam, and insert and Buddhists and things like that. They tend to just like want religious freedom, and Christians tend to be a little bit more like, no, 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 you all have to do what we want you to do. And that's a bummer, because one of the foundations of our country is the separation of church and state, and this is an entire group of people that, because they are very powerful, they're deciding not to adhere to that principle. Susan Tick says, no, I do not, Susan. It's sinful, and you'll go blind if you do that. So yeah, welcome everybody. If you got any questions, let me know in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. This guy says, a literate Republican says, "Let's go Trump. Trump is the best." That's an example of the kind of comment that gets you blocked. I don't care if you have different opinions than me, but actually ask a question, be part of the conversation. Looney says, comedy and politics both are made up. Politics is not made up. It's very much based in reality. So yeah, if you got any questions, DJ Moore breaks, please. I am well. Thank you for being here, DJ Moore. Really appreciate you. So yeah, I know that politics can be really intimidating to try to learn. It can be like trying to learn a new language. So you can ask whatever you like, and I don't judge, I don't debate, I don't ridicule. That's not what I do here. This is not one of those shows where I bring up people who are right wing and I tell them why they're dum dums. I am just here to answer all of your good faith questions and maybe help people on their journey to learning more about politics. All right, so let's see here. Switch says, why do you think pews are so political? So it's a couple of reasons. Number one, the gun manufacturers want to make a lot of money, and the way that they make a lot of money is by selling us guns. And so it's easier for them to sell guns if, number one, there are really loose laws around buying guns, but also in order to perpetuate a culture of owning guns being a way of owning the libs, of owning guns being a way of asserting that you are an American, that you are a good Christian, God-fearing American who is a capitalist and not a communist, and that you like beer and football and all the good old American things. It's all just marketing tactics, basically. And yeah, the right has discovered over decades that the people who have bought that, the people who have been grifted by gun companies in order to perpetuate this and are very passionate about their guns, Republicans have recognized that that is a very valuable voting bloc, and that they will always vote for you if you promise to let them do whatever they want pew pew wise. And then they will label Democrats as the party that's going to take your guns away, and they're going to take them away even though it has literally never happened. All right, scrolling down to the bottom of the TikTok comments. Javier Palacios Gambile says, nice to see you again. Last time I came over, last time you made great points. Thank you. Thank you for being back. Let's see here. I feel like most people let their faith be weaponized in the US. Yeah, I mean, it's not about the people letting it happen. It's about they have been told by a lot of people that that is the move. And so there are people on the left who buy into different kinds of propaganda, and so I don't like to throw stones and be like, those are the dumb people, these are the smart people. But propaganda is extremely effective. And in order for it to be effective, it really only needs to hit like 2% of the population. And that moves mountains just by itself. So that's the reason why, people pour billions of dollars into convincing people to either vote for Republicans or not vote at all based on insert propaganda narrative here. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Bob Rice says, what you think about the war, India versus Pakistan? So the actual, global political instigating factors for that war, I'm not as versed on all of those specifics. I'm much more of an expert in American politics. But I will say that Donald Trump promised that he was going to end all the wars, and he certainly has not. He said he was going to do it on day one. And as far as I can tell, Ukraine war is still going. War in Gaza ramping up. He's starting a new forever war against the Houthis in Yemen, and it looks like India and Pakistan are going to war with each other. So great job, Donald Trump, fucking stopping all those wars, man. Maybe it seems like every Republican politician and Donald Trump and Elon Musk are completely full of shit. Like that really seems like that really seems like what's going on, doesn't it? Omar says, "Who do you support?" I'm a progressive Democrat, so I vote Democrat up and down the ballot. Alrighty. I'm no angel says they can't take the guns away, but they can render them useless by taking away the ammunition, or just like make ammunition really expensive. Let's see here, Susan. Ask a real question, or I'm going to boot you. Chai Chai says, does a third or fourth party have any chance? So a couple of things about that. Number one, there's only one third party that is doing the work of actually building up infrastructure and support to actually win on a national level, and that's the Working Families Party. It is a long project. Like it takes a long time for people to build up that kind of support, and no other party is doing that. The Green Party, the Libertarian Party, what have you, all they do are these bullshit, ego-driven, cash grab spoiler candidate runs for president every 4 years. Until we have ranked choice voting, it is worthless to vote for any candidate in a federal election who is not a Democrat or a Republican. And I know that pisses some people off because they don't like the two-party system. I personally don't think that the two-party system is as bad as people say that it is. I definitely think it has its flaws. But yeah, for the most part, I think people overstate the flaws of the two-party system. What's up, Lauren? Good to see you again. Dad Slink says, who might be the next president? I never talk about the 2028 election because we got the 2026 midterms coming up, and I'm trying to get everybody laser focused on the 2026 midterms. Those are the important ones. We really got to get everybody out there activated and doing the work of electing Democrats in the midterm elections in order to fucking have a check on this lawless and unconstitutional Trump administration. The Republican Party is fucking asleep at the wheel. They're letting Donald Trump take away all of your benefits, take away all of your rights, ignore the courts, trample balance of powers, and, escalate tensions around the globe. They're letting this unbelievable amount of con and corruption going on. The Trump family is making like $1 billion off of their fucking meme coin, which is like wildly illegal, and the Republican Party is just fucking letting it happen. So let's elect some fucking Democrats so we can actually do fucking something about this, so that Trump gets stopped fucking selling our country, so that him and his kids can buy another fucking golden yacht. All right. Diasha Reed says the GOP are continuously purging the voting rolls. Make sure you're registered. Excellent. Chai Chai says, what's a ranked choice voting? Haven't heard of it. Can you explain? Sure. Ranked choice voting is if you have a two-party election, a winner-take-all election, and you've got Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, and you don't like either candidate, and you want to vote for like a third-party candidate, but you're worried that you not voting for Hillary Clinton will make it easier for Donald Trump to win. In a ranked choice voting kind of thing, you could have like, oh, I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders as my number one choice, Hillary Clinton as my second choice, and Donald Trump will be like my third choice. And then that way we potentially open the voting process up to other parties so that people can, have more variety in their choices. Now, I always put the caveat on there that ranked choice voting is not a cure-all. We had ranked choice voting for the mayoral election in New York City, and we still elected Eric Adams, and he's a corrupt piece of shit. What's up, Patrick? Good to see you again. Look at what's been happening in North Carolina for the past 6 months with Supreme Court judges. A 1G, make sure you follow all the registration rules for your state. Yes, that is accurate, Patrick. All right, welcome everybody to the live stream. My name is Jared. I answer questions about politics. I'm not here to roast you, I'm not here to ridicule you, and I'm not here to debate you. There's no such thing as a dumb question. You can ask me something about current politics. You can ask me something really simple about, like, oh, what's reconciliation? What's the filibuster? You know, shit like that. This is not one of those shows where I invite people on and I just yell at them for having different political beliefs than me. I don't care who you voted for. I'm just here to answer all of your good faith questions. If you're further to the right than me, if you're further to the left than me, and you want to ask me something, go for it. I'm not going to yell at you, I promise. Fall of Crowns says, can you give me your opinion on the India-Pakistan war? Again, I don't know all the specifics about it, but I will say that Trump said he was going to end all these wars, and he fucking hasn't. And the wars continue to keep on spiraling out of control. Isn't that interesting? It's almost like somebody said this shit was going to happen. Let's see here. Deisha Reed says 33 Senate seats and all congressional seats are up for election in the midterms 2026. That is accurate. Andy Kuhn says thoughts on libertarianism. So every example of people of like states or cities trying libertarianism has failed. They tried it in this one state in the Northeast, and their town got overrun by bears. At first, I thought libertarianism was just kind of like a childish, contrarian perspective thing for people to do. But then I read this book called Dark Money, and all the fans of this live stream are rolling their eyes because it's like, oh, Jared's talking about dark money again. And I discovered that the libertarian movement was actually a fucking astroturfed, fake ass political movement that was forwarded by the billionaire class in order to deconstruct the federal government so they wouldn't have to pay taxes and they wouldn't have to have regulations on all the businesses. They want to be able to poison our air and our drinking water and our food. They want to not have safety regulations at their plants and fucking Dow Chemical plants and fucking, their chicken processing plants. They want people to fucking lose their limbs, and then that shit just, oh, we'll just grind that up and put it in with the ground beef. It won't be that fucking big of a deal. They want to get rid of safety inspectors and OSHA regulations and everything because all that stuff costs them money. And they want to be as rich as possible, regardless of if we are all getting fucking cancer and maimed at the job and fucking salmonella from our dinner and shit like that. That is the entire point of libertarianism, is to deconstruct the federal government so that the billionaires can throw us all to the fucking wolves and they can get even richer. They want our lives to be fucking miserable. We're fighting instead of having to pay whatever measly sum they would need to in order to abide by environmental regulations and pay their workers a living wage and shit like that. So yeah, hope that answers your question. Fried Chicken says, can I ask you anything about politics? You can. Sarah says, do you fuck with Trump? Absolutely not. True South Home Inspection says, you're not an expert. You're just giving your opinion. Doesn't mean anything. I mean, I am an expert because I know a lot about politics. I'll tell you when something's my opinion versus when it's fact. And everything that I've said so far is fact. You can Google it, guys. You can read Dark Money, guys. It's an extremely well-sourced work of nonfiction. Polywog says, why are you avoiding my questions? I did not see your questions. This is really a lottery system, so if you don't get your question answered, sorry, but luck of the draw. If you have a question that you really want me to answer that I can't get to in the live stream, my DMs are open. Let's see here. Fried Chicken says, would you date that press secretary? Absolutely not. Because personality is a thing and she's completely full of shit. Full of Crown says, who do you think is the best candidate for 2028? I never answer that question. I'm focused on the 2026 midterms. I don't want people fucking fantasizing about the 2028 presidential election. I want everybody focused on the midterms. 2026, Democrats got to run the table so we can have a fucking a check on this lawless piece of shit fucking Trump administration. Marine 1812 says Trump 2028. That is an example of the kind of comment that gets you blocked. I don't care if you have different opinions than me, but actually ask a question, be part of the conversation. Alrighty. Polywalk says, was 9/11 an inside job? I don't believe that 9/11 was an inside job, but if you read the 9/11 Commission, it is clear that the Bush administration was wildly incompetent and asleep at the wheel where national security is concerned. They allowed the worst national security failure in our country's history to happen under their watch. And it was United Republican watch. They had the White House and they had full control of Congress, and they still let a bunch of terrorists kill 3,000 Americans by flying planes into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon and shit like that. And somehow the Republican Party still has this image of being the party of national security, of being a party that is going to protect us from all the evils in the world, even though, again, they literally let the worst national security failure happen under their watch. Read the 9/11 Commission, and you will see it is just gross incompetence and corruption. People should have gone to jail for that shit. Nathan says Berenstein, highlighting the Steen. That is an example of an anti-Semitic comment. Living says, will they protect us from hunger? The Republican Party? Absolutely not. Let's see here. I know what you're trying to do there, ATL Luxury, so you can just miss me with that shit. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Jackson says they doing pretty good with that now. Not sure what you mean by that. And no, I am not ATL Luxury, so please just ask that. Pollywog says not just Republicans. 99% of it is Republicans, Pollywog. Let's be real about this. If people are trying to argue that both parties are the same or they're equally shitty, they are lying to you. There are very massive differences between the two parties, between the outcomes when they're in charge, between the outcomes in the states where more Republicans are in charge versus more Democrats are in charge. I see your okay ellipses, meaning you are, what do you call it, skeptical, but fucking, challenge me on it, man. I will give you all the benefits of my expertise. I will happily back up that claim with as many facts and data points as you like. Living says, did Joe Biden vote against food being a right? Not as far as I can tell. Young Robert says, abolish a two-party system. I don't have a problem with opening up voting with ranked choice voting, but I also think that people ascribe a lot of the evils of capitalism and the Republican Party just to this structure of the two-party system, when I find that could be wildly inaccurate. Let's see here. Joe Flacco fan page says, not going to lie, I'm a lib, but I may vote leftish so they actually take action against the GOP. Joe, I don't really truck with the difference between being a liberal versus being a leftist. If that means something to you, then that's totally cool, man. Go for it. But yeah, I don't really distinguish between that shit. I know that there's like a far left and a center left. I don't know which one is which. But yeah, I just say vote for better over worse. And regardless of if you're a center left or a progressive left, that is always going to be whatever Democrat wins the primary. The fight between the center left and the progressive left is a fight in the primary. It is not a fight in the general election. And anybody who tries to continue that fight into the general election is just trying to get people to not vote for Democrats because they want Republicans to win so they can dismantle the government so billionaires can be even more powerful. Shell Bell says, have you ever looked at the executive order that end on July 4th? Do you think Trump is planning something? I've heard similar, scary factoids about Trump, like doing things in like the upcoming future, like declaring martial law and stuff like that. And, I find some of these arguments to be somewhat convincing, but nothing ever really materializes. What I find to be more helpful is to focus on the things that Trump is doing as opposed to the things that he says he's going to do. Let's see here. Joe Flacco fan page says, I might vote as far left as possible. I just want retribution at this point. Yeah, I get that, man. I mean, I vote to the left because those are the ideals that I most closely align with. I'm much more of an AOC, Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett than I am a, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer type. But if I vote for a Katie Porter and I get an Adam Schiff, I'm still happily voting for Adam Schiff because Adam Schiff is way fucking better. ATL Luxury says, do you think Democrats can win the House or the Senate? So right now, based on polling, it looks like they are, they are going to win back the House. The Senate is much dicier, but what I say is when pollsters tell you the averages, when they say like the chances are that Democrats are going to get the House and not going to get the Senate, what they mean is we don't think people are going to do the work for Democrats to also win the Senate. When people will tell you it's virtually impossible for Democrats to win 67 seats in the Senate in 2026, what they mean is we don't think people are going to do the amount of work that it would take for Democrats to win all those seats. It is possible for Democrats to win, fucking run the table and take back the House, get a wide majority in the House, get 67 seats in the Senate. It is definitely possible. Is it likely? No. But if people do the work, You know, what I'm doing on here is trying to activate and organize people, is in addition to informing people about what's going on in politics. So if I had my druthers and everybody that watched this live stream became activated and started talking to people and started protesting and striking and boycotting and calling the representatives and recruiting other people to join this fight, and then suddenly we had 10, 20 times as many people like knocking on doors and talking to their friends and family about politics and convincing them to vote for Democrats in the 2026 midterms, in my for like fantasy of what could possibly happen in 2026, that's definitely possible. But will people fucking listen to me, the guy who's mostly right, and actually do the work? That's still an open question, you know. But I continue to encourage people to do this shit and continue to make myself available to point people towards the right resources, to let them know like the right things to say in order to be convincing, and to try to convince people to join this fight, my man. Let's see here. Dearly says Democrats don't have a clear leader. That's not far left. Liberal policies are not popular. That is very inaccurate, Dearly. Basically, everything you said was inaccurate. Democrats don't have a clear leader is kind of true because we don't have a presidential candidate or somebody who is like, you know, the cornerstone of the party. We've got people like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, who are the minority leaders in Congress, but you know they're a little bit more centrist and not very popular. Then you've got like the progressive left that are fucking barnstorming the country on their fucking anti-oligarchy tour, like AOC and Bernie Sanders. They're wildly popular. Hold on a second, give me a note from my producer. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Can you text me some more information about that? I appreciate that. So yeah, you know, and so you know, it's an open question as to who the leader is, but that's not even a big fucking deal. Like, who gives a shit? You know, we'll figure it out when the primary happens. As far as liberal policies not being popular, that is a fucking bald-faced lie, man. Even in deep red states, if you put a progressive liberal agenda item on the ballot as like a ballot initiative, they generally tend to win. They voted to re-enfranchise felons in Florida. They're voting for legal weed and legal abortion fucking everywhere, you know? And yeah, it's just the fact that people have effectively demonized the Democratic Party, where people, they like all the things in the Democratic platform, but for some reason they don't like Democrats, they don't like voting for Democrats, is the reason why the Democratic Party polls poorly and doesn't do as well in elections as they should. But as far as the policy concerns are, you know, go, we're talking about like 70% approval rating on, if people understood what the actual platform of the Democratic Party was, and they were able to connect the policy ideas to the actual candidates, then Democrats would run the table. We'd also, of course, have to balance things out because right now the electoral system is weighted in favor of the Republican Party with the Electoral College and gerrymandering and the Senate map and shit like that. So I've just been told that we are leaving this hotel for some fucking reason. I'm very excited about that. What an exciting time to be alive, guys. We only did 20 minutes, but that's cool. I'm glad I was able to pop on here. Thanks for joining, everybody. Give me a follow. Give me a like. Follow me on all the socials. Join my Patreon. Check out my website, JarekBerenstein.com. If you had a question that I was not able to get to, my DMs are open. And yeah, somebody fucking was reporting my channel because they don't like me telling the truth. But that's fine because I'm out of here anyways, guys. So yeah, DMs are open. Please do the work, and I'll see you guys next time when I see you. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.